Why do you struggle so much with a full turn? You know you want a full turn. You know you want, there's a million different reasons, but the main ones are it puts us in a great position to shallow the club, to get under the plane, swing a little in to out, hit the solid shots. It gives us more speed because the club head has more distance to travel. There's a whole slew of things. Now, you know you want it, but why do you struggle with it so much? You go to the range and you work on it, and you can actually do it. You film yourself on camera, you get the big full turn, and then it just feels terrible. You feel like you can't even get back to the ball. Well, there's a very, very specific reason why you're struggling with this and why it doesn't feel good to get a full turn. Because when it doesn't feel good to get a full turn, you're not going to go to the golf course and get a full turn. And that's why if you have ever filmed yourself on the golf course, you're probably going to see a sawed-off turn so that you can get back to the ball. And the other big issue with that is if we don't get that full turn and we get a little sawed off here and we're trying to get a full turn, we're never going to consistently get this club under the plane where we want it so that we can come into the ball correctly. So what's happening? Well, two big things. First and foremost, you're out of position and you're out of sync with your backswing. So let me explain. What's happening here is when you get to the top of your backswing, your arms are finishing too soon, and now you feel like you're done. So my hands get to about the full height that they feel like they need to get to before the body has a chance to get a full turn. So what happens, what we need to do to easily understand how this works is we need to think about this just a little bit differently that makes it super, super simple on our mind. We need to think we have a full turn, or we have a top of the swing with our body, and we have a top of the swing with our arms. If one of those gets there too soon, we're going to be out of position, and most likely it's going to result in not getting a full turn. And then doubly, when we do get a full turn, let's just say I finish with my arms at the height and then I make myself get a turn, it's going to feel terrible trying to come into the ball. So the answer to this is very simple. What we want to have happen is we want the hands and the arms to get to the top of the swing at the same time the upper body gets to the top of the swing. This will now facilitate getting a nice big full turn, and it will give you the comfort at the top of the swing to actually hit the shot with a full turn. So how do we accomplish this? How do we feel getting all the way to the top of the swing? Because we can't just go out there and start saying, hey, you told me to sync it up, and I'm just going to go out there and do it. Well, there's a very, very simple drill that's going to show you exactly how to feel this. It's going to make you do it correctly, and you can take this feel right away and run with it. I've worked with students before that get this right away, and it's a very, very simple concept. What we're going to do is you're going to take just a mid-iron starting off, something pretty easy, and we're going to do a slide drill. So it's very simple. We are going to make a turn, and for every inch we turn, we're going to start sliding our hand down the club. So it's going to look something like this, where I slide my hand all the way down the club. So we want to do more like a 6-iron, 5-iron, something like this, so we have enough room to do this at first. But for every inch I turn, I want to slide my hand up the club. So what this is going to do is going to make me get a big, nice, wide arc out of my lead side, and it's going to make me get a nice, big, full shoulder turn out of my backside. And what we can see is if we're doing this in sync with our turn, there's no way that my hands or my body can finish before the other. So if I try to turn and then slide my hand up, it's going to be out of sync. It's going to be almost like we're going to use the turn to facilitate this hand to slide up the club. So when you start doing this, you're going to be in a very, very different position than you ever have before, because you're going to get there correctly. You're going to see that, hey, I'm not just lifting up my arms and then trying to turn. I'm going to be doing them at the same time. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some repetitions in where we really get really comfortable with this sensation. Then we're going to go up to the top of the swing. We're going to make some dry swings. Where we go to the top of the swing, we're going to bring our hands back together and make some dry swings from there, so we can get the sensation of where we need to be at the top of the swing. If you want, you can hit some balls with it. I'll go ahead and hit one here. Slide the hand up to the club, bring it back together, and then make a swing from there. So it's a little bit tough to hit great shots that way, but it's going to give you the sensation of where you need to be at the top of your swing. Now, once you have that feel down nice and easy, we're going to start using the beautiful byproduct of this drill, which is getting a good tempo in the backswing, which is just moving in sync with your body. And we're going to use that same feel that our hand is sliding up the club as we get to the top of the swing. And because we've gotten some repetitions in, knowing where we need to be, you're going to be much more familiar with where you need to be up at the top. So there we go, a very super simple drill. Doesn't cost you anything. You grab the club right out of your bag, slide it up. It's going to give you a beautiful tempo. It's going to give you a nice full turn, and you can start getting the benefits of being in a great position with a full turn at the top of the swing. So the issues that can arise from this is you're going to be in a position you're not really used to anymore. You're going to be in a great position, and we're going to be asking ourselves, what are we going to do from here? Well, now, the answer is very simple. We need to make sure that we're making the correct downswing from the full turn so we can take full advantage of being in this great position. What that move is making sure that the club is going to shallow out under the plane and that we can square the club face up, and from a full turn position, getting all this distance, we can come back into impact and absolutely compress the heck out of the ball. Well, I've got a great bonus for you. Owner and head instructor Clay Ballard is going to show you exactly how to make that downswing correctly with something we call the anti-roll method. We're going to play a preview of that lesson at the end of this video. If you want to see that full video, click on the iCard that's popping up in the screen. And if you don't see that iCard, that's fine. You can click on the link in the description below. You can see that entire lesson. So if you can pair up that beautiful full turn with getting the club to shallow and square up, you're going to be hitting the ball so much further, so much better, and so much more consistent than you ever have before. We'll see you here in the anti-roll method.
Here's the bottom line. If you've been taught to roll the club in the early downswing, that causes the shaft to get steep. And that steep club causes all your problems. It causes you to hit it way behind the big hitters and way inconsistent with your quality of strikes. So you're in the tall grass and the trees and the hazards all day long. Now the great news is this. There's really only two pieces that you need to know to fix all these problems. The first one is we need to learn the proper way to square up the club face. Instead of rolling the forearms and getting steep, there's another way that the pros do this. Once you learn this right way to square up the club face, then you can shallow out from the inside and everything starts to fit together. Now I'm going to teach you this right now in what I call the anti-roll method. You may also hear this called the motorcycle move or the tour twist, but let's walk through exactly how to do that. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and go kind of in the last parallel in the downswing. So here, I want my hips to go ahead and be opening up. I want my club to be parallel with the ground, and I want my hands to be in front of my right thigh. Now, when I take my grip, you're going to notice that when I do this, the club face is basically straight up and down. So if I'm looking at it from this angle, you'll see the face is straight up and down, and my logo of my glove is pointed out in front of me. Now from there,